Hey guys, welcome. Yeah, so example 5 here, and we have a pretty interesting task, which is dividing x to the fourth minus 1 by x squared minus 1. First, notice one of my favorite things in the world, difference of squares, and I have a dedicated video on it. Tells us that a squared minus b squared can be factored as a plus b times a minus b. Now, using difference of squares then, we could first rewrite x to the fourth minus 1 as x squared squared minus 1 squared, and then applying difference of squares, because this is a squared minus b squared, where a is x squared and b is 1. Since that's the case here, this here can factor as a plus b times a minus b. And so then we see that x to the fourth minus 1 is the same as x squared plus 1 times x squared minus 1. But then if that's the case, dividing x to the fourth minus 1 by x squared minus 1 is the same thing as dividing this here by x squared minus 1. But if we divide this here by x squared minus 1, then we get just x squared plus 1. So we can expect our answer, and it's going to be x squared plus 1. But we said in example 1 that we were only allowed to divide by something of the form mx plus b. In other words, we're only allowed to divide by a linear. So how are we going to divide by a quadratic? Well, again, using difference of squares, we can factor x squared minus 1 as x plus 1 times x minus 1. So then we can say dividing x to the fourth minus 1 by x squared minus 1 is the same thing as dividing x to the fourth minus 1 by x plus 1, and then in turn dividing the result by x minus 1. Or we can say it's the same as dividing x to the fourth minus 1 by x minus 1 and then dividing the result in turn by x plus 1. It doesn't matter which order. But yes, basically I'm saying dividing by x squared minus 1 is the same thing as dividing by x plus 1 and then dividing by x minus 1, or it's the same thing as dividing by x minus 1 and then dividing by x plus 1. And again, which of the two is a matter of preference. I'm going to go with the former, which is I'm going to divide first by x plus 1 and then by x minus 1. So we're saying we're going to turn this problem into first divide this by in my order, x plus 1, and then take the answer to that and divide it in turn by x minus 1. That's what we're saying. Okay, cool. We know how to do that. First, let's do this first problem, which is dividing by x plus 1. For that, we take this and set it equal to 0 and get a negative 1. So we put that right here, yeah? And then we write the coefficients of the guy we're dividing, which is x to the fourth minus 1, in here in the order that they should appear. So the coefficient of x to the fourth, that's a 1 here. Then x to the third is missing, that's a 0. X squared is missing, that's a 0. X is missing, that's a 0. And then after the x term is the constant term, which is negative 1. So we go negative 1. Yeah? Okay, cool. And then by the process that we should all be familiar with at this point, this is example 5. We take this guy and write it down here, right? And then we multiply to what's in the box. So that's a negative 1. Add down, we get a negative 1. Multiply to what's in the box, that's a 1. Add down, we get a 1. Multiply to the side, we get a negative 1. Add down, we get a negative 1. And then multiply to the side once more, we get a 1. Add down, we get a 0. Got it. So we've got a remainder of 0. That's good. For the problem of x to the fourth minus 1 divided by x plus 1. And the answer is x cubed minus x squared plus x minus 1. So now we need to take this x cubed minus x squared plus x minus 1 and then in turn divided by x minus 1. And if we did this correctly, because we know what answer to expect, we better get x squared plus 1, right? Okay, cool. So like I said, all we have left to do is divide this here by x minus 1, okay? Let's make some space, and remember we're dividing by x minus 1 this time, so that means what goes in the box is positive 1, and what we're dividing is this here. So let's write its coefficients, which are 1, negative 1, all of them are there. None missing, that is. 1 and then negative 1, right? Okay, cool. And then now we can get rid of this and commence with the process. So this comes down here, multiply to the side, we get a 1. And then we add down, we get a 0. Multiply to the side, we get a 0. We add down, we get a 1. Multiply to the side, we get a 1. We add down, we get a 0. Remainder 0. So our final answer is x squared plus 0x plus 1, which is that guy, yeah? Cool. All right, examples 6 and 7 to wrap it up. Keep watching. Take care.